So, the only tennis news this week, really, got more cancellations. We've got the China Swing, which has been cancelled, apparently. So, ATP, WTA tennis has been cancelled all over tournaments in China. So, that's the news which has been popping up this week.
Can always rely on you, Ben, to start the podcast with a nice positive twist.
Yeah, well...
I thought you were going to start with a bit more like enthusiasm, something good, some good news was happening.
Yeah, there's great news out there. Rafa Nadal might not play the US Open. That's great news for some people, not having the defending champion.
How's that good news? Come on, give us some good news, Ben. Let's start with a bang.
Good news for people like Tsitsipas, Medvedev especially. He got to 5 sets with Nadal in the last final, so he's probably looking to go one better. So
yeah, true.
This is seeing the absence of these big three names potentially at the US Open. Could see a new person crowned champion, which I'm actually probably more excited about than the big three, to be honest. So,
yeah, for sure. Well, let's go on to that in a minute. Let's start with your negative news because I know you love a bit of negativity, and that's the China Swing's been cancelled now. Usually gets played in October, November time. I think the WTA are going to miss out, or the players are going to miss out on about $30 million of prize money, which they would usually have. It's a huge market for the WTA out in China. Obviously, it's growing, and there's more events always there. You've got a lot of fans there, and it's going to be quite sad, obviously, that they're going to miss out on it, and obviously the players and their money. So the WTA before lockdown, all these problems with coronavirus, wasn't in the best places. Like there was calls, it wasn't at the beginning of the year they was talking about. Probably wasn't even that long, actually, probably a few months ago, saying how they're going to want to do a merger with the ATP. And a lot of that is, if we're honest, we were speaking to a player, I forget who it was now, one of the players was saying how, in theory, it's going to benefit the WTA a lot more than the ATP because they're in a lot of a healthier state than what the WTA are.
Yeah. Well, I think Schoofs was saying that. Viviane Schoofs, she was saying that, it will help the women, but there's not really that many benefits for the men.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So they was never doing great before, and so this pandemic's hit them harder than most for sure. And now that the news that the China Swing's going to be cancelled,
never know. Might still see Dominic Thiem out there playing an exhibition. He seems to be playing one in every single other country.
Mate, he probably won't miss it. He'll go there still. He'll just turn up.
He can get a flight
put a wig on or something.
If he can get a flight, he's
a big blonde wig.
If there's a chance to run another tournament in another country, Thiem's there. I think he's just been embracing the travel somehow.
Mate, I think we need to talk about that actually for sure. Like Dominic Thiem, he has played. I think he's been playing like every day. He has a few days off, maybe every now and then, but he seems to be scattered all over the world, just playing whenever tournament comes up. He's there playing in it. And fair play to him for his work ethic. And even the tournaments like with friends and stuff, I forget on whose Instagram now, there was a video of him playing with Dennis Novak. I think that's one of his best friends, another Austrian player, and a few others. They was playing doubles. And they played 5 sets. They played a 5-set match just as like friends just for a bit of fun.
Yeah.
You should have seen Thiem after. I think they put the time on there, like 3 hours, a 4-hour match or something. It's just crazy. This guy just loves tennis to another level. And when he's not competing like on a level, it's the only exhibition matches, but it's still like semi-competitive in terms of like you're going to try and win. But even when when he's not doing that, he'll be playing with friends or probably practicing. Or this guy literally eats, breathes, and sleeps tennis. And let's see where it takes him because he looks like the man to beat on tour at the moment.
He does, but I think that's probably why he's staying so active. He probably knows that there's a bit of a slump from the rest of the top guys. Obviously, Federer just out in general, but Rafa only just coming back and starting practicing. Djokovic, obviously, we had all the big controversy with him. But, Thiem's just staying super active and just, he's just willing to play every event as long as he's fit, healthy, and he's not got this virus. He's willing to go travel anywhere.
On the subject of that, it's good news for Djokovic, Dimitrov as well, and Koric as well. They all seem to be completely over it now.
Yeah.
I think I saw Coric was playing the other day as well.
Yeah.
In an exhibition match. So it looks like, well, it doesn't look. So it seems that they're over that completely now. So that's brilliant for them.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be interesting to see if we see him in the US Open or whether or not the US Open's going to go ahead.
A lot of people
keep putting up polls. I keep seeing polls on Twitter and stuff of people saying whether they think it's going to go ahead. And it seems like the consensus is that it's not going to. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
I think it still is. Apparently the mayor of New York says it's still going to go ahead. It's always probably just a big money spinning thing anyway. But the big three doesn't look like they're going to be there. I don't think.
No, Djokovic is going to play.
There's still talks of he might not be as well. But it's all up in the air at the moment because you never know. It might be really bad press having somebody who has tested positive for coronavirus that recently to be travelling to the tournament as well. You never know. I don't know what the restrictions...
You could look at it on both sides though, mate, because you could look at the fact that in theory he's at less risk to anyone else playing because he's actually contracted it. Therefore, he's going to have built up some immunity to the virus.
Maybe.
We don't know. We don't know for certain whether that's 100% immunity, but based off other viruses, he's built up some kind of immunity, which makes him a safer player or person than most other people there. So You can look at it two ways, I guess.
You can, you can.
Me personally, I think he's going to go. I think you're going to see Dominic Thiem there as well, and then a few of the other guys.
Medvedev and Tsitsipas, they're going to be there.
Potentially, yeah. I can't see why they wouldn't be there, to be honest.
Rublev.
I don't think you're not going to see Stan there. Stan, I think, is going to be playing. He's been practicing on clay, so I think he's got his heart set on the French Open.
It's sad for all the players like Australians and people like that because a lot of the players, obviously you've got tons of US players who are obviously right there and they're going to be playing it. And the players that are miles and miles away over across the pond, they're not going to get the chance or they don't want to take the risk because you're going to have to travel for that amount of time. You spend so much time when you're there in quarantine, when you arrive as well. It's a very big commitment to go in for something like that. And
I think though they're going to be under a lot of scrutiny if they was to play this tournament.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm not sure if it's all right. There's going to be a lot of backlash to it, and then you will see big name players pull out. At the end of the day, we're just speculating who we think is going to be there. We're going to see a lot of. This is just the beginning of it all. Like, when's it actually going to be played?
31st of August, it's supposed to start.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So we've not reached. It's hard to say where we're going to be at that time, but I think there'll be a big backlash regardless of the decision because there's going to be people saying we want to play it regardless.
Yeah. I mean, and then we got the French, which is coming shortly after, and obviously you'll probably have a lot more European players willing to enter this event. Less travel. Obviously, US is very struck down hard by this pandemic at the moment and doesn't seem to be getting that much better over there, whereas in Europe it's been contained a little bit better and you probably feel a lot better. Safe.
It's completely different, mate. If you look at all the graphs and look at the way the virus is spreading, Europe definitely looks like they've got it a lot more under control.
Yeah.
Touch wood. But We'll see. The America at the moment is out of control. It's completely out of control. The thing with the French, though, is they're going to be having fans in the stadium. That's a big, different dynamic.
Yeah, it's a bit.
So they're going to be filling the stadiums 50 to 60%, which means for the final, there's going to be a lot of people there still.
Yeah, I think it's a bit worrying.
Sure that's even the right decision to be making because we've seen what happened with the Adria Tour. Granted, that was in Europe, and granted that wasn't breaking any laws in Serbia. However, we see what happened there, and loads of people got it there. So it's probably not the best idea to be encouraging crowds and stuff. I think you just need to go with what it is, and just the times are like it is. It's sad to have a Grand Slam without fans because that's what makes a Grand Slam so special.
Yeah, exactly.
You either cancel it or play it with no fans because you can't really find a happy medium right now.
Yeah, but speaking about the French Open, obviously Rafael Nadal is going to be his main focus now. Going to be trying to hit that 20 Grand Slam mark, trying to get level with Federer, trying to get the most Grand Slams of all time. How do you feel about that? Obviously, we've got Stan. He's going to miss the US Open, and then we're just going to have fight between the big clay court players. Thiem might play the US Open, but then he'll come back in, and then we'll see how he fares against Nadal. He's been playing more tennis than Nadal. Maybe he'll be raring to go. Take him on. Take the title.
I think it's pretty clear that Nadal's obviously going to be the clear favourite. Granted, the team obviously is in brilliant form, but it's kind of Nadal's to lose. He's just so experienced there. It's just made for him, that tournament, and I just can't see him actually losing it, regardless of the fact that we've had all this breakage in play and stuff. If you were to have to look at the odds of it, he's going to definitely be below evens to win, in my opinion.
I think it'd be more interesting just for, rather than us speaking about who we think's going to win it, because we've obviously got like the main people who everyone's going to pick. Oh, is it Dominic Thiem? Is it Stan Wawrinka? Is it Rafa Nadal? Like, you obviously got your top dogs. You got Djokovic maybe as well if he enters it. I'm more interested, to be honest, about people like Casper Ruud, see how far he can get. Someone like that, or someone like Christian Garin, like people who have been playing really well in the clay earlier in the year. They excite me more for this tournament to see how far they would go if other players not been on the top of their game lately, obviously not been playing. So you might see some upsets.
The thing with that is I've not seen much about players like Christian Garin and stuff at all.
No.
And to be honest, I think that's a large part with the fact that in South America at the moment, things aren't looking good. I don't think you're going to see many South Americans playing in the US Open.
What about Ruud though?
I think there must be like quite strict lockdown situation there, right?
What, in South America? Yeah.
Yeah, South America's got to be locked down. Also, you're going to have a look at like India as well.
Yeah.
A lot of places in Asia, they've not really taken the hold of the virus as of yet. And I think places in Africa as well are getting a bit, it's getting quite rough as well. So it's going to be them players from these places aren't going to be able to play.
So what about Casper Ruud?
Casper Ruud, yeah, you'd expect him to be there, I guess. I've not seen much of him, to be fair. I don't know what he's been up to. He's obviously been brilliant for him start of the year, wasn't he? He played some really good tennis, so you'd fancy him to have a good run in. Whether he can beat Rafael Nadal, I very much doubt, for sure.
Yeah, it's a big ask.
And especially Dominic Thiem, the way, mate, he's just been beating everyone on tour. I just feel like getting close to him.
What about these youngsters?
Like Rublev or something like that. It's just very tricky.
Yeah, well, I mean, what about all these? Do you reckon we'll see any interesting wild cards? Like, I know we spoke about the youngster Alcaraz Garcia. Do you reckon we might see a little wild cards being thrown in there here and there, just because there's opportunity now to see some fresh blood?
Potentially, yeah. I think it'd be really interesting. I'd love to see him there, to be honest. I'll be rooting for him.
Yeah, because there's so many of those top players as well. Obviously, there's a lot of top Italian players, Spanish players who we follow a lot on this Challenger Tour. There's obviously Carlos Taberna. We've got Martinez, Balella. And you've got, what's the other one that you're a big fan of?
Mate, a wild card I'd love to see is Lorenzo Musetti, the 18-year-old. Have a look at him. Incredible player. And he's just like made for the clay. And seeing him at the French Open just be special, I think. Because he can give a lot of players a run for their money. The way he strikes the ball, his speed around the court, his shot versatility. He's someone who I love watching, and I think he's got a huge future in the game.
Yeah, I think he's
big guy as well. For 18-year-old, mate, he's huge.
6'1". Yeah, he's definitely on the radar of a lot of tennis fans out there. I noticed he's got quite a big following on social media, about like 10 or 20,000 followers on there already. So, yeah, an amazing player, and everybody's aware of him. One to watch out for in the future. Could be seeing him at a French Open very soon. Hopefully this one.
Now, I've got a story for you, Ben, because it's something right up your street. We were talking about it before this podcast, but I feel like we should definitely talk about it on the podcast.
Go on.
And that is Rafael Nadal's fruit consumption.
Yes.
So, see if you can remember how much fruit does Rafael Nadal consume in a year?
300 kilograms.
And by the way, for you guys watching, this is not completely random. We saw an article on it, and we just found it very weird. And we thought they must be very bored to making an article on how much fruit Rafael Nadal is eating.
Definitely.
So then we thought, why don't we talk about it on the podcast as well? Because we're bored as well, and it'll be something fun to talk about.
So what was the answer?
So what are you saying? 300 what?
300 kilos.
So what did you say? 300 kilos?
Yeah.
Well, your mile's wrong. Oh. How much fruit do you think he eats? It's 172 kilograms, mate, of fruit per year. That's equivalent to 4 normal-sized apples. What do you mean? You're like...
It's nearly double.
Yeah, well, that's quite a way off, mate.
Can't help that if he doesn't eat enough fruit.
No, 172 kilograms, It works out about 4 apples a day. So you're saying he eats about 8 apples a day of fruit?
Yeah, but he's probably a banana 4 times a match.
Mate, an apple's bigger than a banana.
He probably has apples as well as bananas. He only eats just apples. Is that what he's doing?
There's more than just 2 fruits as well.
Yeah,
there's a lot of fruits
what I mean.
In the world.
So that's 300 kilo.
Yeah.
You classing tomatoes?
For you, then.
You classing tomatoes as fruit?
I don't know. It's good.
Actually, probably that would be 300 kilo with tomatoes.
How many hours a year does Rafael Nadal spend with physiotherapists?
Well, just on his knees, probably at least 50 hours. And then with the rest, probably like another 50 hours. I go with...
No, it is over a year.
Over a year, though.
Yeah.
So you've got 365 days in a year. He's probably getting some every day, I reckon. If not, maybe go 250. There you go.
It's more, mate. It's 568 hours a year.
Oh, God.
Physiotherapy. Wow.
Those knees are really being massaged well. They need a lot of...
I think that's crazy. Do you not think?
Well, it means he probably has every...
So it's more than an hour every day. It's like an hour and a half.
Yeah, he probably has like 3-hour physio on certain days then. On a few days a week.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Mate, it just shows how important this is, because the last generation of players, they never had that, really.
I bet his physio's got as many blisters as what he does. That much bloody massage.
No, it's just the way the world's changed so much now. Like, physiotherapy's like huge in tennis and in all sports now. Like, it's become like a fundamental part to be able to like compete at the top level. And if you see him, Rafael Nadal, using that amount of hours, it just shows it must work as well, because he's at the age of what he's at now, and he's still competing at the top of the game.
And I don't even think just because of that for him. I think there's the fact that a few years back, we probably thought we'd never see him play again because of his knees. And the fact he managed to get back to the top of the game again and winning Grand Slams again, he probably needs that physiotherapy to keep him at that level, because there's no way that he'd probably recovered otherwise.
Wonder how many hours Roger has. I reckon it's less than Rafa, for sure.
It might be less, but I don't know. He's 38, don't forget. 39 actually now, isn't he?
Yeah, but Rafa just seems to be like that guy who he needs that more.
Yeah, well, he
needs that tender loving care.
He's had more injuries. He's had worse. Federer's been in for surgery recently, so
yeah,
it might start getting more. He might catch him up in the next year on those physio hours. You never know. But you never know. You might see him missing more tournaments, might not require as much, might just be heading a couple of ATPs and just the Grand Slams just to try and stay at the top of the pile. Watch this space in the coming, weeks, days, and we'll see what happens on the tennis horizon, and will we get the US Open? Will we get the French Open? And will any other tournaments be cancelled?
Well, I think we'll wrap it up there. There's not really much to talk about. We'll see you on the next one. Keep your eyes out on the community section. We're going to be posting a lot of new polls and questions on there, so get involved in that. We're going to be coming up with a few more podcasts in the week. Hopefully some good tennis news to actually talk about, because there's not really been much going on, to be honest. We'll see if we see the US Open. We're not sure really if it's going to be going ahead like you or not. And yeah, just watch this space. Hope you like the video, and we'll see you in the next one.